On a snowy evening, with the streets blanketed in white, Holland's usual route home took an unexpected twist. Amidst the swirling snowflakes and the biting cold, she encountered a homeless man. His presence barely noticeable against the snowy backdrop. His figure, huddled and almost hidden, silently conveyed the many nights he had endured the merciless cold. Moved by a profound sense of compassion, Holland paused at the sight of him, vulnerable and alone. It stirred within her a desire to offer warmth and shelter to someone in dire need. The man, cautious yet displaying a glint of hope in his eyes, struggled with the unexpected kindness from a stranger. In a world often overshadowed by harsh realities, such generosity was a rare light. Despite his initial reservations, Holland's sincere concern broke through his barriers, igniting a warmth that had been smothered by years of survival on the streets. As Holland guided him through the snow-covered streets to her home, the night seemed to pause, observing as two lives intersected in a profound moment of human connection. Opening her home to him was more than a gesture of comfort, it was the start of an extraordinary evening. For Holland, it was an act of compassion. For the man, it was a crucial lifeline bridging the gap of indifference, leading him to a sanctuary he never imagined possible. Once inside Holland's warm home, the harshness of the outside world fell away. She showed him to a bathroom where fresh clothes and toiletries awaited, simple luxuries that felt like treasures to him. The steam from the hot shower enveloped him, momentarily separating him from his past burdens. Wrapped in warmth, he felt the layers of dirt and cold wash away, soothing both his skin and his soul. Meanwhile, Holland was in the kitchen, preparing a meal with deliberate care. The simmering pot on the stove filled the air with the comforting scent of soup, signaling nourishment for both body and spirit. While she cooked, her thoughts drifted to the man she had brought into her home, curious about his story and the life he had led. An hour later, as they sat down to eat, the man handed Holland a note that left her astonished. The message inside was a heartfelt expression of gratitude that deeply touched her. A poignant reminder of the impact of her simple act of kindness. This shared meal and the exchange of thanks marked the beginning of a night that would forever change both their lives. A testament to the power of empathy and the unexpected friendships that can arise from moments of kindness. The sequence of events that lead him to her doorstep underscored the profound significance of this single act of kindness within the vast weave of his life. The act of cooking for a stranger in her own home was both monumental and intimate. It was a mere gesture, but it was laden with the deep hope of making a difference, however small, in the life of another person. Holland found herself contemplating the interconnectedness of lives and the clear threads that pull people together in times of need. As the kitchen grew warm from the stove's heat and the promise of shared humanity, she realized that this evening could possibly transform both of their lives in ways they never expected. The air in Holland's living room was thick with anticipation and warmth from the kitchen where a meal bubbled on the stove. The aroma of spices mixed with the crisp, clean scent of soap, marking the transformation of her unexpected guest who now emerged from the bathroom. His steps were tentative, yet his posture was unmistakably lighter, as if the hot shower had cleansed away more than just street dirt. Holland turned to greet him, her welcome catching in her throat. The man before her was familiar, yet so profoundly altered that she could only stare in shocked silence. In Tob's hand was a note, crumpled and worn from being tightly clutched. Holland's curiosity spiked as she noticed the edges of a photograph peeking out. "What's that?" she asked, her voice a whisper against the backdrop of her pounding heart. Tob hesitated, his eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that made the room feel smaller, more intimate. "It's a piece of my past," he said, his voice rough with emotion. Slowly, He extended the note towards her, revealing not words, but a photograph. Holland gasped as she took it, her fingers trembling. The image, painfully familiar, showed a younger version of herself smiling back, captured in a moment of joy long forgotten. The realization hit her like a tidal wave, leaving her reeling. How? She began, her gaze snapping up to meet Tobbs. The question hung unfinished in the air as Holland, driven by a sudden impulse, urged, "Please shave your beard. I need to see." The request was strange. Yet Tobb complied, driven by a trust in her that he couldn't quite understand himself. When he returned, the transformation was staggering. Gone was the rough, unkempt exterior, revealing a face that mirrored her own in ways that tugged at her heartstrings. Cameron. Her brother. Her twin. The name whispered through her mind. A ghost from the past suddenly made flesh. Tears sprang to Holland's eyes as they embraced, overwhelmed by a flood of emotions. Joy, disbelief, and a profound sense of wholeness overwhelmed them as they embraced, the years of separation dissolving in the warmth of their reunion. Cameron's voice broke with emotion as he softly spoke her name, each syllable revealing the depths of his loss, not just from the world but from himself. As they sat in the cozy familiarity of Holland's living room, Cameron began to recount his tale. With each word, the fragments of his shattered memory began to reassemble. He described the accident that had torn him from his familiar life, how he awoke in a world without his identity, and the memories that should have accompanied it. He spoke of the streets that had become his refuge, the despair he battled, and the miraculous night when Holland found him in the snow. Their conversation wove a tapestry of loss, resilience, and unbreakable family bonds. With each memory they shared, Cameron's past became more concrete, bridging the gap left by amnesia. The photo, a serendipitous link to his former life, had unlocked the door to his identity and to the sister he had once lost but now rediscovered. In that moment, as they clung to each other, the external world ceased to exist, leaving only the astonishing reality that had reunited them against all odds. Through fate's twists and the harshness of time, they had found each other once more. At dawn, sitting side by side, Holland and Cameron's conversation meandered through the lost years. Each story shared laid bare a piece of themselves, as they endeavored to bridge the time gap that had separated them. The kitchen, bathed in the soft light of morning, transformed into a haven where laughter and tears intermingled, and fragmented memories began to form a tapestry of rediscovered familial bonds. Later, as the sun climbed higher, they approached their parents' home, their hearts filled with a mix of nerves and anticipation. The door swung open to reveal their parents, their faces lined with the passage of time and worry. A profound silence ensued, a pause in life's rhythm, before recognition set in, shattering the quiet with cries of joy and disbelief. Their mother was the first to pull them into an embrace, one that spoke of nights spent praying for this very moment. Tears flowed, each one washing away years of pain and uncertainty, each a testament to love's enduring strength. In the days that followed, as Cameron's memories gradually knitted back together, the siblings were driven by a renewed purpose. The ordeal had ignited within them a fervent desire to reconnect and rebuild the bonds that time had strained but never broken. Holland and Cameron, having rediscovered compassion within themselves, sought to extend this kindness to those still marginalized in society. Together, they envisioned a sanctuary, a shelter that would serve as a beacon of hope for the homeless, a physical embodiment of their collective journey from despair to hope. This shelter emerged from their shared dream, offering not just physical warmth through a bed or a meal, but also the understanding and kindness that both Holland and Cameron had come to represent. They devoted themselves tirelessly, intertwining their lives with those they aimed to assist. Each individual who entered the shelter reminded them of the unpredictable paths life can take, highlighting the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of empathy and action. As the shelter expanded, so did its influence, reaching beyond its physical walls and touching the broader community. Holland and Cameron found themselves at the center of a community united by shared humanity, with every tale of hardship and recovery adding depth to their own story of reunion and redemption. The shelter stood as a testament to their bond and the journey that brought them from a cold, snowy night to the warmth of a united purpose. Their initiative not only transformed the lives of those it directly touched but also reshaped the community's fabric. This endeavor symbolized the potential of what can be achieved when individuals unite, driven by love and a fundamental belief in the dignity of every person. In this act of giving back, Holland and Cameron discovered not only a renewed purpose but also a deeper understanding of the strength inherent in familial bonds, the beauty of second chances, and the enduring capacity of the human heart to heal and unite. After watching this story, what do you think of? Then there is another story about a woman's kindness. Let's expect what will happen. In a quaint Texas town, under the expansive skies, Lou's Diner stood as a haven of comfort and the inviting smells of home-cooked food, drawing both locals and visitors. Among the essential staff was Emily Johnson, a fixture at the diner as much as the neon sign blinking outside. With her wide, infectious smile and a heart as expansive as the plains, Emily was a beloved presence for those entering the diner. However, not everyone who stepped into Lou's came looking for warmth and returned smiles. Charles Buck Miller, an 82-year-old cantankerous World War II veteran, was a notable exception. His entrance seemed to darken the sunny atmosphere, his gruff manner and sharp words casting a chill even in the warmest settings. Buck's demands were as formidable as his personality, each order given with an expectation of flawlessness that tolerated no mistakes. Yet, where others saw a tempest, Emily saw an opportunity. She met Buck's abrasiveness not with annoyance or dismay, but with steadfast kindness and patience. Every harsh word from him was countered with a gentle smile, every stringent demand met with graceful compliance. Emily's response baffled many of her co-workers, who couldn't fathom why she would invest so much effort in a man who seemed as unyielding as stone. But Emily looked deeper. In the quiet moments, when Buck's gaze softened while looking out the window, or in his rare, subtle nods of approval at a well-prepared dish, she saw glimpses of a life marked by its own hardships and victories. Her kindness was not merely professional duty, it was a recognition of shared humanity. An understanding that beneath Buck's rough exterior was more than just a cantankerous old man. This ongoing dance of contrasting temperaments became a silent witness to the transformative power of compassion within the walls of the diner. Emily's consistent warmth towards Buck not only earned her the quiet respect of her colleagues but also exemplified a vital lesson, that true kindness, extended without expecting anything in return, could bridge even the most formidable gaps and turn tumultuous relationships into safe harbors of mutual respect. As time passed, the visits from Charles Buck Miller wove themselves into the tapestry of Emily Johnson's life at Lou's Diner, illustrating the enduring impact of empathy and understanding in a world too often divided. With the predictability of the sun rising in the east, Charles made his presence felt daily. Each time he entered, the diner door chimed, signaling the arrival of his precisely prepared, steaming hot meal. His gruff demeanor and rigid standards had become as integral to the diner's atmosphere as the scent of fresh coffee and the sound of bacon sizzling on the griddle. Over the years, Charles's tough exterior never softened. And his demands remained as pointed as ever. Each word he uttered carried the weight of a man shaped by life's harsh realities. Yet, Emily's response to his stern nature was a display of remarkable resilience. Her consistent gentleness, patience, and kindness stood in direct opposition to Charles's harshness. Where others might mirror his mood or falter, Emily countered Charles's sharp edges with a softness that seemed almost supernatural. This striking contrast between the grumpy veteran and the kind-hearted waitress drew quiet admiration from both the staff and the patrons of the diner. Emily's grace under pressure, her ability to face Charles's critiques with a smile, and her steadfast dedication to serving him with respect became topics of subdued conversation. It was evident to all observers that a unique bond had formed between them. One that went beyond the typical interactions between a customer and a server. This bond was not founded on dramatic gestures or deep philosophical exchanges but on subtle moments, Charles's nod of approval when his meal met his exacting standards, the softening of his eyes as Emily placed his order in front of him, or the rare, slight smile that occasionally appeared on his lips. These brief glimpses into the man behind the gruff facade shone like rays of sunlight through clouds, revealing the depth of their connection built over countless meals and exchanges. Emily's persistent kindness and Charles's gradual acceptance wove a quiet narrative of endurance. A daily reminder to those around them that patience and kindness could indeed soften the hardest of hearts. Their everyday interactions evolved into a story of human connection, a testament to the power of consistency, strength of character, and the unexpected beauty that can arise from the most unlikely of friendships. The day Charles Buck Miller no longer graced Lou's diner marked the start of a noticeable emptiness in Emily Johnson's world. The routine that had become part of her daily rhythm, his timely arrivals, the familiar grumbles, and the sudden cessation of his complex meal requests left an eerie silence in its wake. A contrast so stark against the usual backdrop of clinking dishes and soft conversations that it weighed heavily on Emily. This quiet marked the absence of Charles, a man whose presence had unexpectedly become a constant in her life. As days merged into weeks with no sign of him, Emily's worry intensified. A lone concern among colleagues who welcomed the end of his visits. Her co-workers couldn't grasp the growing anxiety that clouded her thoughts, nor the budding sense of loss in her heart. To them, Charles was merely a demanding patron, a daily challenge met with reluctant acceptance. However, for Emily, he had evolved from just another customer into something akin to a friend. Despite the challenging nature of their interactions, when Emily learned of Charles's death, it felt like a chilling gust had swept through the diner, snuffing out the faint hope that he might return one day. The news hit her with the force of a sudden storm, thrusting her into a grief she hadn't anticipated. Charles, who had both tested her patience and kindled her kindness, had left this world silently, without a goodbye. In the silence that ensued, Emily pondered the intricate web of human connections, the unexpected bonds that form in the most surprising places. Charles's gruff voice and demanding presence had carved a niche in her life, a void that was profoundly felt. She grieved not only for the loss of a regular patron but for a man who, in his uniquely challenging way, had taught her about endurance, patience, and the diverse expressions of affection. After his passing, Emily carried forward not just memories of his demands but the unspoken lessons of empathy and compassion that had blossomed from their interaction. The gap left by Charles's absence served as a poignant reminder of the depth of connections we forge, often under the least expected circumstances, and their lasting impact on our lives. In the subdued days following Charles Buck Miller's death, Emily Johnson's routine at Lou's Diner resumed with a quieter, more reflective rhythm. His familiar, gruff presence was sorely missed, casting a long shadow that reminded her of what had been lost. Amidst the routine clink of coffee cups and subdued chatter, an unexpected phone call broke the monotony, threading a strand of the extraordinary into the fabric of her day-to-day life. The call came from a lawyer, a conveyor of life-altering news that would shift the foundations of Emily's existence. With a professional tone that strangely contrasted the essence of his message, he revealed that she was the beneficiary of a substantial inheritance and Charles's beloved car, as stipulated in his will. This disclosure shone like a ray of light through the shadows of her sorrow, illuminating the true depth of a relationship she was only starting to fully appreciate. This act of posthumous generosity revealed an unexpected side of Charles, unmasking a layer of gratitude and respect rarely reflected in his usual demeanor. The man who had appeared as merely a gruff old veteran had, with his final gesture, profoundly acknowledged Emily's constant kindness and patience. It was a silent affirmation of the quiet yet significant impact of her compassionate nature, confirming that her efforts had deeply touched one of the most seemingly unyieldable hearts. More than altering Emily's financial state, the legacy left by Charles transformed her perception of human emotions. It served as a poignant reminder that beneath the toughest exteriors can lie profound depths of gratitude and affection, often unspoken. This surprise inheritance was not merely a transfer of assets but a conveyance of trust and esteem, a respectful acknowledgement from a man to the woman whose steadfast kindness had never wavered. As Emily reflected on the significance of this gesture, she pondered the broader implications of her interactions with Charles. Their relationship, marked by daily challenges and subtle triumphs, stood as a testament to the transformative power of kindness. It highlighted the undeniable truth that empathy and patience have the power to connect the most disparate of spirits, fostering bonds that surpass all expectations. This epiphany reinforced Emily's determination to lead a life driven by the principles of kindness and compassion. With her spirit strengthened by the knowledge that her actions had made a lasting impact, she approached her daily tasks and relationships with a revitalized purpose. Charles's legacy was not just a bequest of material wealth but a guiding light on her journey towards authentic connections and heartfelt service. In the aftermath of this profound experience, Emily's faith in the power of kindness was not only restored but deepened. The legacy left by Charles was a testament to the invisible bonds of compassion that thread through our lives, subtly yet significantly shaping our interactions and relationships. The fabric of our lives shows us that even the smallest acts of kindness can resonate in ways we may never foresee, altering lives as they unfold. After watching this story, what do you think of? Then there is another story about racial prejudices. Let's expect what will happen. During a routine trip to the supermarket, Angela experienced an unexpected and distressing confrontation. What was typically a mundane task turned into a scene of conflict, and she encountered a couple who openly displayed their racial prejudices. The supermarket aisles, usually places of convenience, became arenas of hostility as the couple targeted Angela simply because of her skin color. Their harsh, unprovoked comments cut through the normal noise of the store, directly aimed at Angela. The tension around her thickened, making the air almost tangible with hostility. Their mocking laughter and scornful remarks echoed off the store's floors and shelves, magnifying their discriminatory attitudes. Despite the growing commotion, which drew the attention of other shoppers showing various degrees of discomfort or indifference, no one stepped in to help. Angela, caught under an unwanted spotlight, felt each word from the couple as a physical blow. The mockery was a constant reminder of the deep societal divisions that still existed, despite outward appearances of progress. Her shopping cart, once a mere convenience, now seemed like a small shield against the onslaught of insults. Yet, it offered no defense against the emotional turmoil inside her, a mixture of anger, humiliation, and disbelief. She had entered the store with a simple shopping list and found herself in the midst of a painful ordeal that tested her strength. The emotional pain was evident not only in the tears welling up in her eyes but also in her trembling hands and tight throat. The couple's ignorant and spiteful laughter starkly contrasted with the usual mundane atmosphere of a grocery shopping trip. In that moment, Angela stood at an emotional crossroads. She felt a strong desire to retaliate and defend her dignity. Yet she was shocked by the blatant ridicule she faced. The gravity of the situation weighed heavily on her. A somber reminder of the persistent injustices in everyday life, a burden she bore not only for herself but for everyone who has faced the sting of prejudice. As tears threatened to overcome her, Angela grappled with a deep sense of isolation. It was a stark reminder that discrimination could cast its long shadow even in the most ordinary places. Meanwhile, Edward, an older gentleman marked by the lines of time and experience, observed the situation unfold. His presence introduced a glimmer of hope that perhaps, in this moment of ugliness, something unexpected and unbelievable might happen. A few aisles away, his hair a testament to a lifetime of experience, Edward was disrupted by the harsh discord of cruelty cutting through the everyday rhythm of grocery shopping. The scene that unfolded, one that would typically cause others to look away, drew him in. Angela's evident distress called to him, awakening a relentless spirit within, shaped by years of observing the highs and lows of human nature. When he moved closer, the atmosphere tensed, the usual background noise of the supermarket fading as though the universe itself had paused to watch. Edward's approach was deliberate. His presence the stillness before the storm of his forthcoming intervention. A fire of justice and fairness blazed in his heart, undiminished by time. This fire guided his carefully chosen words, each laden with his deeply held convictions. When Edward spoke, his voice, seasoned with age, commanded attention. It resonated deeply, not with anger, but with profound disappointment and a firm demand for respect. His words not only shielded Angela from the venom directed at her but also mirrored the ugliness of the couple's behavior back to them. He spoke of humanity, of the respect every individual deserves regardless of skin color, and of the pain caused by careless words. His intervention transcended mere defense, it was a lesson aimed at igniting empathy in the couple, seemingly lost to them, standing resolute. Edward's presence served as a bulwark against a surge of ignorance. His words infused with a lifetime dedicated to justice. To Angela and the onlookers drawn by the weight of the moment, Edward stood as a beacon of hope in a world often obscured by the shadows of bias and hate. His bold stance was a vivid reminder that even one voice, when raised in defense of dignity and respect, can cut through darkness. His act of bold courage demonstrated the lasting power of compassion and the significant effect of standing up for righteousness. On the fringes of this intense scene, a teenager, an unintended witness, stood with a smartphone in hand, camouflaged among the shelves and passing shoppers. From a distance, they had been watching, an unforeseen recorder of the events. Sensing the depth of Edward's impact, they instinctively began to capture the moment, recognizing the enduring significance of what they were witnessing. As the conflict reached its peak and then diminished, the teenager, now holding a digital record of bravery and bias, contemplated what to do next with a mix of anxiety and determination. They chose to upload the video online, a simple act of a few taps on their screen. Yet the consequences were far from simple. The teenager could not have foreseen the tidal wave of views, shares, and comments that would catapult the video to the center of a worldwide discussion. Originally just a file on a phone, the video became a societal mirror, displaying the stark realities of racial prejudice and the courage to oppose it. It connected with people across different backgrounds, transcending borders and languages, rallying them together in a collective demand for change. The teenager's initial aim to expose a moment of injustice and heroism quickly became a significant catalyst for social change, sparking debates on platforms well beyond their original scope. The police response was quick and firm, proving the impact of digital evidence in combating hate. The arrest of the individuals in the video sent a clear signal that society's patience for such behavior was diminishing. This legal action brought a tangible result to the emotional journey initiated by the video, offering a measure of justice for Angela and underlining the importance of accountability. The event, captured by the teenager and amplified by the global online community, evolved beyond a mere viral trend. It became a focal point for activism, empathy, and community support. It served as a vivid reminder of the impact individuals can have in fighting racial prejudice, whether through acts of bravery against discrimination or simply by sharing a story that needs to be told. In the aftermath, Angela and Edward, who had never sought the limelight, found themselves in a spotlight they were inevitably meant to occupy. The video that documented their ordeal, once confined to the confines of a grocery store, now reverberated through the expansive realms of the internet, thrusting them into a sudden and significant fame. Angela, whose composure had been tested in a very public manner, emerged in the narrative not as a victim, but as a symbol of immense resilience and grace. Her story, spread across various screens and platforms, touched many who had experienced similar injustices. Angela consistently exuded a serene determination during interviews and discussions, articulating a message of hope and a steadfast belief in the importance of confronting prejudice. Edward, meanwhile, earned recognition as a contemporary hero, a title he humbly accepted, which masked the bravery underlying his choices. His actions, fueled by a lifelong commitment to justice and equality, positioned him as a guiding light for those seeking reform in a society still marred by injustice. Media platforms and TV programs were keen to broadcast his story, highlighting the seasoned wisdom he brought and the significant effects of timely intervention. Edward, through his speeches, envisioned a society bridged by empathy and understanding, which could counteract the divisions fueled by ignorance and hatred. Together, Angela and Edward used their newfound platform to advocate for a more empathetic and inclusive society. Their journey from a stark incident of cruelty to a powerful call for change underscored the persistent need to combat racial prejudice with not only awareness but proactive, unified action rooted in bravery and compassion. Their story, now a symbol of hope, inspired others to not only acknowledge the injustices around them but to actively oppose them. Angela and Edward showed how the darkest moments could produce the most illuminating beacons, leading the way toward a future where kindness and valor are the main tools in the battle against injustice. The narrative of Edward's intervention and Angela's resilience underscores the critical role individuals play in opposing discrimination. It reminds us that each action, no matter its size, can initiate widespread conversation and change. The widespread sharing of their story demonstrates the interconnected nature of the modern world and the potential for individual acts to achieve global resonance, promoting a more inclusive and empathetic society. Ultimately, this narrative teaches us that unity, compassion, and the readiness to confront injustice are essential in crafting a better world. It encourages individuals to not only recognize but also challenge disparities wherever they exist, inspiring a collective movement towards equity and inclusivity. That's all about our story. If you like this story, please like and subscribe to the channel. And see you in the next story.